So, as regular viewers will be aware, a few weeks ago, Tennessee Coin Co. reached out to us and paid us a compliment, which we were quite chuffed about. So, Reuben, in his wisdom, reached out to the group over there, and they've kindly agreed to do an interview with us. So, crossing over all the way over to the States, which is on the other side of the world from us. I don't know, is it the middle of the night over there? Or no, it'd be late afternoon, wouldn't it?
4:30.
4:30, getting dark.
Yeah, okay. So they have agreed to join us and tell us all that we need to know about coins and bars and gold and silver and all that good stuff out of the States. So welcome, guys. How about you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
I'm Lee. I'm the owner of Tennessee Coin and Collectibles. This is my daughter also, which happens to be my social media and marketing director, which works great to get to work with her every day.
Yep.
But without her, I couldn't even obviously launch social media.
Yes, we're of an era.
Yeah.
Does she have a name?
Sierra.
Sierra. Beautiful.
Yes.
Excellent. Welcome. So what's Tennessee Coin and it's Coin and Collectibles?
Coin and Collectibles. I used to just be Tennessee Coin, and I added the collectibles because me and my wife love estate sales and I love other things. So sometimes I may have silver spoons. I might have antique Lionel trains thrown in the mix. So I just kind of wanted the name, whenever I made the name change, to explain why sometimes comic books, not often, but to explain those things.
Hmm.
And so that was the reason.
So you've branched, or you have the ability to branch right out if you want.
It just helps fill some of those other passions.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I kind of like some of the early Golden Age comics, and I don't mind buying them to resell. And they fit. You'll find most coin collectors and coin stackers. I mean, the average person collects 2.3 things.
Yep.
So it's very often you'll get a mixed order from a customer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not unusual to get an extremely mixed order. You even question sometimes why is it they just run the gamut.
So how long have you guys been around?
I started coin dealing. I started as a mail order dealer. There were no internet. So I actually did national ads in magazines, numismatic news, Coin Age, Coin World. And that's been 35 years.
Wow.
And then did shows forever. I would do the show circuit where we do 35 coin shows a year. That got tiring. I mean, hotels, traveling, gone 3 days a week at least. And also shows reached a point they didn't do as well. I was worried about this entire industry sometime, I would even say the late 90s, or maybe it was later than that. It was probably the mid 2000s. It didn't seem like a lot of kids were coming in and new people.
Yeah.
And now with the push to collect bullion, we're getting all these new people that start out stacking bullion, but then they start getting the bug to collect coins and collect silver with some flavor to go in their stack, which is great. And that's where we kind of have started catering more, is trying to get as many specialty bullion items as we can. I can't tell you how many Snoopy or Charlie Brown or Smurfs have went out, or Coca-Cola rounds or bars in some form for Christmas this year.
Yeah.
A lot.
Coming towards the end of the year, I wonder if I can get a bit of a take from both of you, kind of where you think the industry is going to be moving towards next year. You know, any kind of changes you kind of see happening. It really is a bit of a vibe, and obviously, you know, non-financial advice. I'm not asking you to tell us where you think the price is going, but yeah, you know, basically, where do you see the industry itself kind of heading throughout next year?
I'll let you go first.
I'm actually really looking forward to next year. I think the industry in Australia you were kind of hinting at it before, and I wanted to pick up on it. We kind of went through that period in the late 90s, early 2000s, where a lot of us were questioning the industry as a whole because there was no real uptake from the younger generation. And I've made this comment several times where, I'd go to a coin auction or even in the store here, and I would be by far the youngest person there. And I would be by far the malest, like, we were all males. Like the females in the industry just did not exist on any level. And I think we're past that. We're seeing a real uptake both in the interest from a financial side, but also an interest in the collector side, both coins and bars. And that's really starting to develop. And we're seeing more and more women become involved in it in various forms, whether it be as customers or even dealers. Sierra, I know it's a family business, so in a little way, Sierra didn't get much choice. But to see a younger female face in the industry, even 10 years ago was basically unheard of. And so I'm looking forward to next year and the years coming. I think the groundswell has started. I think the interest is there. I think the pricing is starting to move. We've seen gold in Australian dollar terms tick to all-time highs recently. And I know in US it's dropped back below again, but again, in US dollar terms, we broke through the $2,000 mark again, and it's not eased back as far as it did last time yet. I think we're seeing that greater diversity, that greater updraft in the industry as a whole. More dealers coming online. I think I know it's more competition for us, but I think that's only a plus for the industry and for the collectors and stackers that are out there. There's more diversity coming in the range of products we can get hold of. In Australia, even 5 years ago, it was darn near impossible to get stuff out of the States or out of Europe. And that is more of us are doing it and more stuff is becoming available. So I actually really like the look of the next coming years. Handing over.
I agree with everything you've said. I mean, we are seeing so many orders from women now, and they're collecting, they're stacking, they're giving as gifts, and we're seeing so many new people. And as long as the education is kept up and we explain to people all the reasons why to collect and why to stack, and not do it out of I don't like the folks that just do it every day out of fear. You shouldn't be stacking out of fear. You should stack because you love it, because you have an interest in it, because you understand it. For me or you to tell anybody that buying silver or gold is going to make them rich, it will only do that most likely if you were already rich to start with.
Yeah.
What it will do is protect what you've got. And I try to tell people, look, you need to love it first of all and enjoy it. If you don't like what you're buying, if you're just buying 10-ounce bars all the same, I mean, that's fine if that's what, but you need to like it. And you need to not live with the idea that that's going to make you rich from having 100 ounces of silver. Because I may be wrong. I'm not a fortune teller, but I don't think that's going to happen. Will it make you money? Yes. Will it preserve your wealth? Yes. Will it keep up with inflation? Gold always does. Gold's future. I try to tell people you need to be buying platinum, but they don't want to hear about platinum. They're like, it's some ugly, dull silver. And I'm like, do you understand the medical uses alone for treating cancer? Do you understand? Yeah. I mean, you don't treat cancer without platinum-based drugs. And platinum is so much rarer than gold or silver. So you try to tell them you need to include it. And some get it, some don't. I'm like, don't listen to me though. Research and learn.
So are you seeing much milk spotting in the States?
Only on the Royal Mint stuff. Prince Charles likes to have freckles. We used to blame it early on we dealers everywhere were worried about this. I remember when the Eagles came along in '86 and '87, we would warm our vehicles up if we were going to a show and we were taking rolls with us, because we had in the early days had the theory that if they went from hot to cold, they would sweat and milk spot.
Yep.
And I'm still not so sure that isn't part of what drives it, is that temperature changes make them worse. But it's obvious you can have them, send them in for certification. They can be fine, and then milk spot months later, even in a holder.
Yeah.
It's just it's a multitude of things, but as I understand now, it's just improper washing of the planchets, just not rinsing them properly.
It's frustrating that, like, the Canadians were terrible for it for years, and they've fixed up. And I'm going to say I've never seen, although I'm sure I have, but I haven't seen a spotted maple for a number of years now. Eagles are good. Perth mint used to be good. They seem to be slipping a little bit just lately.
I've had some trouble out of kangaroos.
Yeah, us too.
Not as bad as the Royal Mint stuff, but any of the Royal Mint they produce that they ship in capsules, I haven't seen any issues. So I don't know if they're going to a higher level with that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think through. I'd probably have to agree with that statement, but they're raw coins that don't come in capsules. Like, it's
the ones we've seen the biggest issues with. That's it. Out of Perth are the kangaroos and the super pits, which are typically their bear coins.
Yeah. And out of the Royal Mint, it's not. I've actually got footage to show the Royal Mint, and I was going to show them when I was in the UK a few weeks ago, but they didn't cooperate and agree to meet. But a number of unboxings that we do, we've had to stop the unboxing because we've popped open and gone
froze.
You can't show that on camera. You'd pull that one out. Well, you can't show that one either. You'd pull that one out. Well, that one's useless. So yeah, we're the Royal Mint at the moment. It's interesting to hear that you're having the same problems in America as we are over here. With those, and I don't understand why they aren't coming out and talking about it, because I think the stacking community would take it far better if they actually started communicating with us rather than either ignoring the problem or trying to fix it quietly in the background, because I don't think either is conducive to these days. You need to be more open about it.
One of the things we also get asked a lot about American dealers, and particularly just the American bullion industry in general, is kind of what's normal in as far as buybacks and particularly amounts over spot for certain items. I know for a while there, when Eagles were quite hard to get a hold of, we were hearing stories out of the US of American dealers are paying significant amounts above spot for them, and there was a lot of discussion around that. What's the general percentages and things like that you might get for buybacks in the States? Is that something that's changed over the last couple of years? Is it item specific, all that kind of stuff?
It's pretty item specific. I'm seeing a lot of 5-ounce, 10-ounce bars, kilo bars that everybody's offering 50, 60 cents back right now, a spot.
Sorry, say that again. 50 to 60% of spot.
Cents an ounce. So
that makes more sense.
Yeah, 50 to 60 cents. I'm sorry, we speak Tennessean here, which is a little bit different than the rest of America. So I know the other day you mentioned larger bars and lower premiums. It's weird how here you'll look at the wholesale sheets. In this week, the cheapest thing we can get is 5-ounce bars. They want 3 times the premium on a 10-ounce bar as a 5-ounce. And a 5-ounce is even cheaper than a kilo or 100. And an industrial bar is higher than any of what I just named. A 1,000-ounce Comex bar, yes. They had 5-ounce bars this week, 69 cents over spot.
Yep.
They had 10-ounces were like $1.29, depending on which type. About the cheapest thing you get is about $1.29. And I saw kilos were, I guess the cheapest kilos I saw were $24 over spot. So with 32 ounces, that's what, 80 80, 85. But hundreds, they're trying to get $1.49 over spot, I believe was this week, was the lowest I saw.
Wow.
In industrial bars, they want $1.99 over. I guess they figure not as many people want them right now, or the type of customer they're selling them to. They don't want to hassle with crating them and shipping them if they've already pulled them from the boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I always tell people, buy something that's easy to resell. I like just rolls of 1 ounce. I mean, we can get, I mean, I hate to ever sell somebody boxes and boxes of buffaloes, but you can get buffaloes in America right now wholesale for $1.10 over spot. You can actually might get them for 90 cents if you buy 1,500 or more at a time. But if you're just buying 500, you'll get them for $1.
Again, you're just making Michael very jealous, I think.
Dear. It's just, yeah, we're paying 3, 4, 5 times that.
And I guess a lot of that's the shipping costs and
we don't have like our market is, you know, we have a population of we're either just about or we've just cracked 25 million in the whole of Australia. You know, what's the population of the States these days?
333 million.
Yeah. Okay. So you 15 times our size. So you've got that advantage of size. You know, you've got far more dealers over there. You've got far more manufacturers over there. You've got far more, you know, production over there and demand over there. So you can get these economies of scale. We just don't have that in Australia. And even the economies of scale that we get, and I'm lighting a little bit of a fire here with our Australian viewers, that the guys that do produce that quantity of scale, the likes of Perth Mint, as you were hinting at when we were talking off camera right back at the start, the vast majority of that goes overseas anyway. So we don't benefit to a large degree from that economy of scale. So yeah, if somebody walked into the average bullion dealer in the States with a kilo bar of just a Perth Mint kilo bar, what would they be offered either as a percentage of spot or over spot or under spot, however you guys do it?
If it was me, I would pay spot and be glad to get it. But most of the shops are probably going to offer them 50 back right now, 50 cents an ounce back a spot in this market.
So
just because
under spot. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So 50 cents an ounce, 32. So it's about $16 under spot.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's probably typical.
If you roll over to gold, Cougarans is the one I see the most. And I was offered Cougarans from last week, $20 over spot. And so I'm not sure. They weren't buying any. And you're familiar with this wholesaler. They weren't buying any, which I thought odd, but they were willing to sell. We're fortunate in Tennessee. We don't have sales tax on coins, currency, bullion, any coin. I mean, if I sell you a 1793 chain cent, it's a non-taxed. But so we'll get an order out of California, and they're having a fit because they have to pay sales tax. Well, it's California's sales tax. It's not us collecting it. It's if you're not happy with that, move to Wyoming. That's the reason Scottsdale Mint is now in Wyoming.
Yeah, that's right. They up sticks and moved, didn't they?
They did, and they are going to be the treasury for the Wyoming gold. Wyoming, just like Tennessee, is setting aside a large portion of their state treasury, and Scottsdale Mint is luckily going to be producing and housing it for the state of Wyoming.
So
Tennessee's
you've actually
doing the same.
You've got individual states that are actually investing in precious metals.
Wyoming, Tennessee, and New Hampshire are the three that I know for sure. Tennessee's passed a law, I believe about 50% of the state treasury's got to go into gold.
Wow.
To protect it. They don't want to get political, but Tennessee just doesn't feel that they feel that's safer than the banks, and it's safer inflation wise. So I think it's brilliant. I think it should be done. I have no
Absolutely.
argument. Just make sure the vaults you're putting them in is safe. After
Yeah.
we saw we had insurance companies here that were buying $1 million coins. They were buying bullion. They were buying it as investments with money, but they were putting it into someone's vaults who really wasn't holding on to it. So it kind of ruined the market for a while. So they need to make sure they're putting it somewhere that's going to be there.
Yeah. I find it fascinating that even the governments over in the States aren't trusting the banks, that they're taking things under their own control. So it just would not happen in this country. It just would. It would be a non-starter.
And that's what spun off even the goldbacks that Wyoming and the goldbacks have done fairly well. I don't think they're ever going to catch on and be used as real currency, but I mean, we have laws that prevent that anyway. I mean, even Walt Disney got into some trouble for Disney dollars.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they can do it in the theme park, but you can't be spending them in shops outside the theme park. That's not legal.
Yeah.
So there were some lawsuits over that.
Are you guys finding a shift, like just generally, are you guys finding a shift away from cash, your cash transactions and that type of thing?
I keep hoping, like everything, there'll be a tide to turn back to cash, but unfortunately, the younger folks are okay with debit cards nonstop and credit cards. I feel like you learn as you get older, you can't always count on that thing to work every time you walk up to a cash register or sometimes these systems go down. And I don't know how many times I've been into a business, at least a half a dozen times through the years, and their processing systems are down and they're cash only. And 90% of these people are walking out because they don't even have $8 or $10 for lunch.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe it's because we're bullion dealers, coin dealers. We just used to keeping a few dollars in our pocket, or we're old fashioned, but I'd rather pay $12 for my lunch with cash and not have to use a debit card.
Yeah. I think both the points you made, that we're a little bit grayer than the current generation, and also because we're bullion dealers. But we've had, in our country very recently, we've had incidences where we've got two main telecommunication providers, and one of them went down, was hacked. And actually, we're not allowed to say that. One of them went down and couldn't provide service for, what was it, Rubes, 2 or 3 days they were out for?
I think they restored some things faster than that, but yeah, there was certainly hiccups along the system for a couple of days.
So there was, like, across the country, there was whole networks that just didn't operate. So you couldn't take FPOS, you couldn't take bank card, you couldn't do, bank transactions even on your phone, just doing an EFT or anything along those sort of lines. And at the end of it, we had to laugh. Our Royal Australian Mint, who doesn't accept cash, you cannot pay for items at the RAM with Royal Australian Mint with cash, came out and said, isn't cash wonderful, sort of thing. And we're going, you guys are leading the charge away from cash. This is the irony, just seemed to be lost on them. But yeah, we've got time after time in Australia, we've seen incidences where you haven't been able to pay electronically for reasons out of our control, and yet we're seeing a real move in Australia away from cash.
Well, you had the first bank I knew.
Sorry, you go.
You had the first bank I knew of in Australia to go cashless.
Yeah,
and that's like,
I honestly, I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, you're not going to find us defending. Yeah.
Not even defending it. I don't understand. Like, it's like having a bullion dealer that doesn't stock gold. Like, what? With people using less cash in society, do you think that's going to have a longer term impact on coin collecting?
I hope not. I would think, if anything, it makes the argument to store more gold and silver and buy more. But it also makes the argument to collecting the older coinage, especially if we stop producing some sort of denomination. In the U.S., we've got a few denominations that stopped years, long before me or you. 2-cent pieces, 20-cent pieces, 3-cent pieces. So they're highly collectible. I just hope we make a move back to cash being normal. I know our government wants cash gone. It's just that simple because it's hard to tax cash. They're afraid of it. They'd rather be able to monitor. And a lot of people don't realize the codes now. Every time you scan a debit card, the codes for those purchases go into a system where they track those items and they know what we're buying, our buying habits. It's just, I hate losing that privacy.
Yeah.
If I want to drink Diet Dr. Pepper, even though it's going to kill me, I don't need the government saying you're buying too much of it. That's just me personally. I think, being just old enough to know that in the 70s and 80s we had privacy, we had that. We don't have that anymore.
Nope.
And not having cash is part of that. That means that everything can be tracked, and I don't think everything needs to be tracked. I just don't think everything matters. I really don't. Because at one point they even did discuss sharing this information with our health insurance companies so that they could say, hey, you're buying too much of this food item or that food item. That's not healthy. You're going to pay more. To me, how legal is that?
Not.
Well, it depends which country you're in, mate.
And I'm sure they discussed it, the world over. It's not just us.
Yeah. No, it's concerning when we find out exactly how much information they have on you. There was a documentary produced by our what we call the ABC, Australian Broadcasting. It's our government network, if you like, our government-sponsored television station, meant to be independent. I'm not sure how true that is, but they produced a thing called a doco a few years ago called In Google We Trust. And it was an analysis of how much the internet effectively knows about us. And it was actually quite terrifying that I can't remember the exact stats now, but there's something like at that stage, and this is several years ago, there was 16 or 17 different bodies monitoring you as you surfed the internet normally. And it wasn't that you knew about it or you'd allow it. It just, they were monitoring the different keystrokes and websites that you'd visited as you were going about your day. And it was just, it was quite scary.
It's just like you can sit here and talk about a lawn chair or like a bag of ice or something, and next thing you know, that's what you're getting. You're getting advertisements on your phone for the things that you were just talking about. And it's like, it makes me want to throw my phone in the lake. Like, stop listening to me. I'm just trying to live peacefully.
Yeah, that's right.
Because it was
I wanted to ask Sierra, how involved are you in stacking and collecting? Are you there just because it's mum and dad's business, or are you there because you have an interest?
So I do have an interest. I haven't really started stacking anything. I'm really I've been around it pretty much my whole life, but I have my own interests and stuff that I pursue, but working with it every day has made me more interested. It's more of like knowing where to start, and trying to figure that out. So there's an interest there. It's just like getting into the stacking portion of it is kind of like hasn't started yet.
Can you see yet, because you're at the coalface, can you see the value of it yet?
Yes, definitely. And like seeing, because like I hear things like talking about the Cashless Society and like blah 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 moving forward. Definitely seeing what we have and the knowledge that he has makes me feel better that if we are like taken down by the government or whatever you want to say, like at least we'll be good. So at least we know, and we're not, because like my generation definitely they don't know cash to them, and there's a running joke. It's like if we use cash, it's free because it's not coming out of our bank account. And when we learn more and more about the banks, like we had a scare where we didn't get paid from the service that we use, and it was because like all these regional banks went down and everything was just like poof, thin air, like it was just gone. So seeing that kind of stuff happen, I'm like, maybe I do want to pull my money out and like put it elsewhere, just because like you never know. And it is technology, and that's not technology. That's sitting, that's not going anywhere unless you move it or use it or anything else. So it's definitely one of those things that brings peace of mind.
It's interesting to get a younger person's perspective on it. Can you see the value in holding it? Take out the cash replacement or that side of it, purely from an investment perspective. Can you see, or are your friends aware of the value of gold and the inflation hedge and wealth protection tool that it is?
I don't have any friends that know anything about this business. So, and that's unfortunate. I am, knowledgeable because of him. And I try to, it all confuses me to a point, but there is definitely like just having that investment. I see that portion of it, but like I said, there's very few people, I think, in my generation that know anything about it, care anything about it, which is unfortunate, definitely. Because, even my boyfriend has interest in it. He's made sure of that. Just to make sure. But yeah, I don't have a lot of people that I'm friends with or that I know that have interest or are even knowledgeable about it, which is strange. So it's just one of those things that I think is a generational thing. And if you have somebody that is teaching you, then you're lucky, because I don't nerd out about it or whatever you want to say. But it's one of those things that my generation just is not, they don't want to know about it. They don't, care. We're in the age of social media and everything's online and everything's like, so collecting and knowing about gold and silver and all this is just not one of those things that's taken seriously. That's why he doesn't think I'm interested in it, but he.
Well, I see your reaction to a lot of the stuff as she's listing it or moving it. I see her reaction to it, so I know she likes it. And
it's more building the knowledge about it rather than just being like, oh, that's really cool. It's like, okay, how can this help? And like, what's the investment? And moving forward, that I'm still learning and trying to find interest in, because I, even older stuff that we'll get in, I like looking at and just seeing, like, looking back at where it's been through history, or like what it was used for, can still be used for, and all that stuff. So still trying to learn the investment portion of it rather than, like I said, just looking at it and being like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I had a question for you, one that just came to mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Does Bullion Now fool with eBay in Australia?
No.
Do you? No. It's weird because in America, the biggest 4 or 5 companies in America still huge eBay fronts. And for us, I mean, we couldn't exist without it also. I mean, at least 18,000 orders this year will come off of eBay alone.
The problem we have with PayPal, the problem we have with eBay is the fees that we have to pay. Effectively, by the time you take their payments plan and all that sort of thing into account, we have to allow for a 13.5% expense to sell on eBay. So, and the markups that we deal with, if you've got to lose 13.5% out of it, you're very quickly in a loss situation.
We just got a new 1-year contract with eBay, and so it's, I mean, I'm not allowed to say, but it's nowhere near. And well, eBay's weird how they do business. You got to graduate to a certain level before they'll discuss a contract with you, and most people don't even believe such a thing exists.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, we're not. I don't feel like we're anywhere near in your league. We're a top 100 eBay seller based on sales, satisfaction. Top 100 in America is pretty good considering there's God knows 20 million sellers or more.
No, that's fantastic.
We've been pretty proud of that. I don't know if we can hold it with the amount of Karens this year. We'll try.
Yeah, no comment. Yeah, no, it's purely comes down to cost for us. Before we take into account that, I've got to pay Reuben to take photos, or, somebody to write the advert, or, all those sorts of things, the cost to the business, purely eBay alone will take a 13.5% chunk out of what we're selling.
Yeah. Now, we wouldn't do it either if it was anywhere like that. We couldn't. Yeah. So that was a question I was curious about.
Yeah. So, no. So, what's the all-time favorite coin you've had come through the shop?
Ever? That's easy, I guess. 1796 bust half, and I've had the same coin twice.
As in the same type of coin, or the same?
No,
coin?
the exact same coin. I've got to own it twice, and because as far as a U.S. coin, 2,700 of them minted in 1796. Yeah. Pretty tough type coin, and it grades. It's kind of split. It's in between a fine and a very fine.
Yep.
But it just gets you excited. It's right up there with our early turban head golds. The 1797 10s. They kind of just stimulate that history lover in you.
Have you got any questions that you'd like to ask an Australian dealer?
Oh, I did want to ask you what was your favorite coin, and I don't care from where, this year. Did you have anything that just really stood out to you that you really loved this year from anywhere?
Has to be made this year.
Outside of the Lunar Dragon jewels that they made, 8 of? If you haven't seen it.
No, I've seen it. It's beautiful.
There's 2 of them. One dealer here got 2.
Oh, really?
He got 2 of the 8.
Wow.
I can't remember the price tag. What is it? 555,000 a piece, I believe is the correct number.
It was humongous. The price on them. But when people say, "Oh, how on earth can you pay that for?" See one in person. You will see where the dollars are. They are just stunning coins. Look, I've got to say, there is no coin that made me really sit back this year and go, "Wow." There's a few of them I really liked. But nothing that really, made me go, this is absolutely, the standout. It's going in my collection. I don't think I've got one. Help me, Reuben. Is there anything recently I've gone, wow?
I know you had a massive love for the Germania copper bars. I wasn't sure if that'd make your list.
No, I think the pushback I got on those has scarred me forever.
Look, I mean, there's certainly been some designs that we've liked throughout this year. I actually really have liked. I think one of the ones for me would probably be the Germania Mint Golden Eagle. That was one that just kind of, it was a fairly low premium coin, but still had just insane amounts of detail and quality to it. It was just that's probably mine, or it just really, ticked all sorts of boxes for me. And it's been cool to get some of the theme stuff through, like the John Wick coins, or we recently had the Wonka gold bars. They were kind of cool. But yeah, I think the industry has kind of been, particularly over the last couple of years, it's been rushing to get some of these things out. There's been a lot of hype in the market, and so they're kind of, let's get this out, then this out, then this out. And I've been wanting for a while it to go back to even, only a few years ago when I started this, to, okay, let's slow down a bit. Let's take our time with some designs. Let's Yeah, make something that will cause our product to be different to everything else, and really stand out. And yeah, I'm looking forward. You know, obviously, I want the bullion market to keep going, to stay hot, but there is definitely some advantages to manufacturers going, how can we make our products stand out and how can we make them better, as opposed to let's get this out the door because we need to get more and more things out.
Yeah, I think
That's
one of
what I
the.
feel about
Sorry, you
New
go.
Zealand Mint. They put too many products out. It's just anything they'll throw it out, and it's just where the Perth, at least you have your staple series, your Wombat and your Quokka and your or the Super Pit or the Kookaburra and the Koala, and they're loved, well done designs, and they have changes each year. The Brumby, and where the U.S. Mint, I mean, remake a Peach Dollar and a Morgan. I know I don't want to. I know I'm going to offend somebody here on that, but restriking it, it's like remaking Star Wars.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it. We have so many things here you could do a coin series on and do a premium bullion coin, but they don't. Yes, the commemoratives, but the commemoratives sometimes I wonder what thought goes in them. I mean, I know I'm being ugly, but they've done some great ones, but just we don't have another good annual series. And you would think they would catch on. Hey, this will make us money. We can do it. It'll help the hobby. It'll help our business. They'll seem to. I don't know.
I think particularly, I don't know about in the States. I guess I'm talking from an Australian perspective, but particularly mid to late COVID through to probably mid this year, the interest and the demand increased exponentially.
Yes.
And I think part of the problem, part of the negatives of that was the fact that mints learned that effectively they could produce any rubbish that they wanted, release it to the market, and it would get swallowed lock, stock, and barrel. Like we were all over it. And so they've really started just pumping out this crap, expecting the market to keep going in the same burn that it had, rather than what we seem to be happening now, where we've got people actually going, I don't want just anything. I've got a bit of a stack behind myself, a bit of a collection. I'm now going to start being a bit more discerning, and I want nice designs, and I want good products, and I want good presentation, and I want an annual series or a part of a series. I want some consistency to it, to the quality, and this harks back to our Royal Mint comments as well. I think that the collector is becoming far more discerning now. And I think manufacturers are ignoring that at their peril.
And I think that's why, going back again, Perth Mint is excelling. And that's why you're seeing these huge, I mean, there are kookaburras here, backdated kookaburras, that can be well over $200+. And that's without getting into the privy mark stuff.
Wow.
And so, yeah, because you get into some of those 80s and 90s kookaburras, they're tough. Because people want that nice stuff. They want that nice quality. And it's not being bought just for bullion. It's being bought because it really is a coin. And we're missing out on that. Royal Canadian Mint does it a little, but they are getting such a premium for some of their stuff. I mean, the numbers they're putting on some of it now, I mean, it's hard to justify $459 US for an ounce of silver.
Yeah.
That's tough. And I'm speaking on the wholesale side. I know they're keeping the numbers low, but God, that's a lot. I mean, how much profit do they need?
Yeah, that's right. What's your favorite coin? What's your current favorite coin?
This year?
Yeah.
If I had to pick Perth, it's going to be the Quokka, but I know that's going to be weird. It's something about it. I love it. But I pulled it in case and it's going to be this Royal Canadian Mint product here that Canada put out. And it was, it's really neat because if you blacklight it, it lights up to show you what the doctors and the nurses saw out the window.
What's it called?
Somewhere in the early 70s. And it's called the Duncan Incident. And it's part of the Royal Canadian Mint series on unexplained phenomena. And I thought it was a really neat piece that they put out. So I had to keep me one of these. And they do a different one every year, and they really do climb in value too. If you look at some of the past issues, they're selling for 5 or 6 times what the issue was.
Wow.
But I thought that was a neat product. There was a time I never would buy a bullion item that was colorized, or especially that kind of premium over spot, but I have no issues with it now. I mean, I've come around to the 20th century, I guess. Coming from a guy that collected sticker dollars once upon a time, and if you don't know what sticker dollars are, that's the casinos put stickers on Morgan dollars to advertise back when they had slot machines. People still collect them; they're still great. So, not much different than colorizing a coin.
Yeah, no, that's true. What coin or bar, doesn't matter which way, what do you reckon's been the best investment over the last few years?
Any gold you've bought, period. I mean, our old gold 20s have gone from, I would say, as late as 2000, you could have got them for $340 a piece, $340 a piece, and they've gone to easily 2,000, 2,100 for a common date. And I don't know why they won't continue to rise. I don't think gold is ever going back to where we were. I don't. We'll see these profit drop 100 an ounce. We might even see 1,800 for some reason, but gold is going to continue to climb. Too many countries are trying to move to some sort of gold back standard, and there's too many people. The Indian population alone is going to consume a whole lot of the gold for a long time to come because their culture, which I admire. I mean, that's what you need some gold is an asset. And that's what I hope we teach everybody is that gold is an asset. Yeah. It's not a liability. It doesn't eat nothing. It can't be chewed by a rat. It's here for the next thousands of years. Yeah. And it's not fake value like a diamond. I mean, I'm gonna pick on another asset to some people. Diamonds, the price is artificial. And I know this from friends. It's an artificial price.
Yeah. Gold
is real.
One of the things I find frustrating about Australian culture is that we do not have a background in gold at all. And even we had one of the largest gold rushes in the world, the same as you guys did in the States. But even in the States, you seem to have an attitude of gold as an asset. Gold is protection, gold is insurance, gold is something that I hold. Doesn't have to be 100% of my wealth held in gold, but it's certainly going to be a cornerstone of my portfolio is in gold. We don't have that in this country. And in fact, I'd go so far as to say that the mainstream investment community and media would deride if a company came out, an investment company or anything along those sort of lines, or any of the big investors came out and said, we're going to hold 5% or 10% of our assets in gold. I think they would be ridiculed in this country. So
and yet in America, some of the largest corporations in America do hold. I mean, look at Tesla. Look at that's just one that comes to mind that they are holding gold and silver as a physical asset and holding quite a bit. But
Mm.
a lot of the Fortune 500 companies in America are holding gold on the balance sheets.
Yeah. I don't know of any large company in Australia other than a gold miner, obviously, but I don't know any of, your Woolworths of the world. I don't know if that means anything to you guys, but the
It
supermarkets of the
does.
world. Yeah, any of the larger companies on the Australian Stock Exchange. I don't know of any that would hold gold as an investment, as a reserve, as a way of maintaining their asset or wealth. And as far as I was fascinated before when you were saying that different states in America are actually starting to stack gold. I can never imagine our state of Victoria holding gold assets. I just don't think it would ever be a thing. Australia does hold some gold in reserves, but it's fairly minimal. In the 90s and 2000s, we unloaded heaps of gold from our central bank, like tons of the stuff. And there is no desire to replace that in our country at all. So
Proportionally, when you look at U.S. debt to what gold we supposedly have in between Fort Knox, Kentucky, the gold depository, and another one, it would be at the military at West Point. When you look at those gold depositories, the amount of gold we have on hand in proportion to our debt, it's insignificant.
Yeah.
It's just not enough. What are we, 33 trillion and growing in debt, and the debt's growing. The interest is $1 trillion a year now, and it's not even serviceable. And what do we have stored? Not even $1 trillion in gold. Not even. It's just in the billions.
Yeah.
Even though it's an entire country's, I don't think it's into the trillions. It's not. It didn't. And proportionally, the point is, it's nowhere near the debt.
Yeah.
The debt's more than the entire wealth of the U.S. as I understand it now. That's a problem.
Greater minds than ours, mate.
That's a case for owning gold.
Yeah. Yeah. In and of itself.
Because it's going to be money anywhere you go in the world.
Mm. And that's what I love about it. We talk frequently about the fact that when we travel, I will carry gold with me at different times, and I use it to exchange when I'm overseas. And it's people. Funnily enough, I had a couple in last week in the store, and they were telling me of their experience of traveling with gold and using it to cash in when they were overseas. And their first comment was, "I can't believe how simple it was. People think it's complex and dangerous, and like it's going to be confiscated at any moment and all this sort of stuff. It's actually really simple, and it's really transferable, and it's really great." So yeah, well, you've been incredible. So I thank you very, very much for your time spent with us. It's great to get an insight into an industry on the other side of the world. So I very much appreciate and thank you for that.
It's been a world of fun.
Sorry?
It's been a world of fun.
Yeah.
And,
if people want to get in contact with you or purchase from you, how do they go about it?
Our website is TennesseeCoinco.com. And then the best email address would be TennesseeCoinco@gmail.com. And then we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, which is typically where I link, our website, our eBay store, and every other social media platform that we have. So that's definitely going to be all of our information is there and available.
And we're full line. We sell coin capsules to tuba twos, to currency holders, to albums, to
all the good stuff.
We had 3,400 products on. I know I take care of eBay. She takes care of the website. I know the eBay has 3,400 right now, and there's new stuff comes every day. Some stuff rolls off.
What's your eBay store called?
Tennessee Coin.
Tennessee Coin.
It's the Tennessee Coin and Collectibles.
Yeah, it may be Tennessee Coin and
Tennessee Coin and Collectibles.
We try to ship the same day. That's something we stress all the time. If your order's in by 2:00, it goes out that day, Monday through Friday. If it's in by 10 a.m. on Saturdays, we try to get it out, and we usually don't miss it. And that keeps us from complaints. Everybody wants their stuff.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
age of Amazon has ruined people's patience.
Yeah, that conversation goes on in our office frequently. Thank you very, very much for your time. We will draw a close right there. If you want to see more, hear more, you've got a YouTube channel as well, I believe.
Correct. Yes. It is also, that one is either Tennessee Coin or Tennessee Coin and Collectibles. Yeah. Everything's linked on our Instagram, on TikTok, whatever. But yeah, I can also send you all the information if you want to put it anywhere.
We'll actually link it down below.
We certainly will appreciate the help. We have ambitious goals for next year.
Yes.
Oh, that's very good to hear. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. Thank you very, very much. And
thank you, guys.
very soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
So,